This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Come on! Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch! Nom 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
The end, ladies and gentlemen. It is over. The 2024 Team 130
fire them into the sun.
Will be fired into the sun. A Viking funeral will be given for them on our way back to Norman in Oklahoma City. But the Sooners lose it in fantastical fashion, 21-20. Go for it. A 2-point conversion at the end. We can talk about that a little bit more. Was it the right call? Was it the wrong call? I think we have a lot of varied opinions on exactly whether that was the right call. But Brent Venables finishes another losing season as the coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. And look, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I've given up on this team a long time ago. I don't have a lot of angst here, which I know the fans still have plenty of it, judging by running the Scoop account. But I can't sit here and, rail against anything when we kind of have known all the issues this entire time. I would say, if anything,
I don't think we're past the point of railing on this team as much as this program and the way it's being run right now.
It's big picture stuff, and I think that, like, at the end of the day, and we said it on the Instant Reaction, you can watch on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel, bad teams find ways to lose games, and that's where the program is right now. It's a bad program to a certain extent on the field on Saturdays, or in this case a Friday, and it just seems like, I think for a lot of people, whether they be in the media or just the general Oklahoma fan, I think that right now it feels like the trajectory of the program is anything but headed in the right direction. And I think that's the most startling thing about all of this, Carey. George and I talked about it down on the field, is that it just feels like they have gone out over the last 3 years and they lose in about the same way every game. Yeah, but they were in the game. Yeah, but they find ways to lose. It just seems like there's always a yeah, but.
Well, and it's also one of those things that's like, this team, people say it all the time, they play down to the competition. I just don't think they have any other choice by the way that they play, because they come out there and they know they can't throw the ball all around the place, even though they actually did that kind of late in the game and scored the final touchdown. But, they run the ball and they try and be physical. And it was like, this Navy team today, they're used to playing that type of football game.
Right.
It's like having a bunch of wrestlers on the other side of the ball that know about leverage and gaps and how to get through holes and
isn't that like a coaching thing? Like, because I think that there's a lot of people that I saw going through my mentions on Twitter. It's like, how could Oklahoma not run the football today? I mean, did you see what Navy did to the Joe Moore Award winning group from Army a couple weeks ago? They shut that shit down.
Yeah, I know, but what happened was, after those first two drives, Navy adjusted and said, beat us with your arm.
Sure.
And Oklahoma couldn't do
Michael
it.
Hawkins, you're not beating us.
I thought Michael Hawkins, he had 7 drops today.
He's
over 300 yards. I think somebody, it might have been Tom Green from 24/7, tweeted, if you just complete those passes, He's over 300 yards and completes 84% of his passes.
And they win the game.
Yeah, and they absolutely win the game, because I think that, a couple of the long balls to either one of the Zions, particularly the one to Kearney in the third quarter, that's a touchdown.
Well, and here's if Deion Burks plays today, do they win that game?
Yeah, they do.
I don't know. I just think that there's like so many. I don't think they do, because they would find a way to lose that game.
You're probably right, actually. Yeah, you're probably right.
They'd find a way. They'd find a way to overthrow Deion Burks over the middle, and you get another concussion.
Yeah. Sure. But here's what you mentioned. Holding Army or shutting them down.
Sure.
OU still though couldn't get 1 yard twice today when they needed to.
Right.
And here's the thing that everybody's like, oh well, the offensive line did a poor job. I thought both those play calls, and this can lead us into the next discussion, were two terrible play calls that you got
very basic, very generic.
I know on the first one, Xavier lost his shoe. I don't know if that meant anything.
But even then, you haven't gone under center all year, and you go under center and run a fullback dive with Xavier Robinson. But it wasn't even a part of the game plan. And then you run a QB draw on the next one that goes nowhere. And it's just like what is the? And then you get down to the 2-point conversion where you need what is that 3 yards?
Yeah.
And the play calling today
at the
game plan was
at the same time though. Wouldn't we be bitching if they would have done that from the shotgun and said get under center, run the football?
But they don't get under center. You're doing something that you're never
just
doing.
run a zone read play. Give Xavier Robinson some more time. That I don't know. And then they're running behind the tight end, and the tight end can't block anybody, and it's just
don't get the fans going on Devon Mitchell not being in the game today. Or Josh McCuistion.
Carey, let me ask you this.
I just don't think that, and I get where George is about to go. I just don't think that changes anything.
Really quick, before we get to Devon Mitchell, the play, going back to Eddie's point about this as being a team that can't get in their own way, they find a way to screw things up. The holding penalty by Fabechi Nwiwu on the touchdown run by Michael Hawkins, there was no reason for him to even touch a play. He pulled on that play. Michael Hawkins was 10 yards down the field before he even made contact with his guy.
I was going to say, it had to have been late.
It was very late. And he basically tried to kind of turn him around because as he pulled, he didn't get in front of him. He came from behind him. It kind of jerked him, back,
Certainly not off.
Anyway, I mean, that's a perfect. And so instead of touchdown, what would that have been? 21-14?
Yeah, it was right after the 94-yarder.
It's 2nd and 21. I mean, to me, and the fumble by Hawkins, I mean, you can't forgive that stuff. We've seen it all year. It was a terrible time. And
it didn't cost him, though.
It didn't cost him, but at the same time, that's one of those things you're just like, what kind of quarterback development has there been?
And that's the thing about this team that we saw all year is they can't overcome things. When something goes poorly, they can't overcome it. Sure. And when they have success, they can't overcome that either. Like the 4th and 1 thing. You get stopped on 4th and 1, you're like, okay, the defense needs to get a stop. Well, they go down and they score a touchdown after the 4th and 1. And it's
what could have been a part of that too today is Billy Bowman was always that guy that was like, after something bad happened, he's like, we're going to get this shit right. Like we're not going to let this. And Danny was that way too. They didn't have
those guys. They lost in incredible fashion this year.
Yeah. But it was against SEC teams and not Navy.
Yeah.
The 4th and 1 stuff too. It comes down to toughness, and right now
toughness, I think and better. I still think the play calls on both of them were head scratching.
Sure. But at the end of the day, I just keep going back to the idea that I feel like the program's in a really bad spot right now. You can't talk me out of it. John Mateer can come in and he can be the second coming of Christ. I don't know if that's going to fix everything offensively. I think that they are in such a bad way. And, offensively, that was the disaster of the season. But there's this little small part of me, and I know my dad harps on it all the time, but defensively, they've taken steps. But when they really have to get off the field, they never do. They never do. They give up big plays. They
I don't know if I believe that.
Plays.
I mean, they got some third down stops today.
Sure,
Not on the final drive. That final drive was like an 8-minute drive.
But like you said, the fumble that Hawkins had didn't end up hurting him because of the defense.
But when they really absolutely needed it, they couldn't do it.
And this isn't just a today thing. This is Missouri. This is Texas to a certain extent. I know that was a blowout. I'm just using that as an example.
It's not just the defense for me.
It's everything.
It's as a team. I don't think this program right now knows how to win. This goes back to
it's chilling. It's a chilling thought.
This goes back to, and I wasn't here covering this, but I remember watching blowing double-digit leads to West Virginia and Texas Tech in year one. Games that they should have won, right? Even Florida State, they're up double digits in that game. They blow it. Year two, they don't have a great win against Texas, right? Can't handle success. They lose to 2 inferior opponents on the road in back-to-back weeks. And then this year, you get your shit kicked in the SEC, and you blow games you shouldn't have lost to Navy and Missouri. You get your ass kicked by your rival in Texas.
Damn near blew a lead to Tulane.
Right.
Damn near blew a lead to Houston. I mean
it's a theme. It's not just one thing.
It's for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's for 3 years that they've done the same shit, and they've lost almost in the same fashion every week.
Ask your doctor about Air Supra, albuterol budesonide. Eligible patients can pay as little as $0 per inhaler, subject to eligibility rules and maximum savings limits. Restrictions may apply. Visit airsuprasavings.com to learn more.
But it's 3 different makeups of teams, though, too. I mean, you don't have a defense and you have more offense, and now you have more. You have a defense, you don't have an offense.
The common theme, Carey.
But that's why they talk about complementary football.
There is no complementary football under Brent Venables right now.
No, there isn't. And there never has been. But that's what has to happen for Brent Venables to keep his job. And look, no one is on this pod is going to sit here and say that Joe should reevaluate and go ahead and fire Brent in the offseason.
I think it should be looked at if they don't make any coaching changes.
Well, that's what we want to get to, is this offense needs a clean slate. It really does. And I think Brent Venables has to go in there and make some difficult decisions. We all have said, and I've said it on every pod, that I think it's time to part ways with Joe John Finley. I think you have to look at other assistants. I would say outside of Bill Bedenbaugh, because he's got the only unit. He's recruited well. And he's also shown that his unit can get better throughout the season, which no one else can say that.
Bill has track record. Nobody else does.
I don't think.
At least on the offensive side of the
DeMarco's safe. I don't think Emmett Jones is safe.
I mean, and I know that George wants to talk about it, but like the running back rotation, the idea that Xavier Robinson didn't play in the second half today after he was the bell cow.
It was like he wasn't even a part of the game plan.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like he didn't play in the second half.
It's crazy. I don't get it.
He was your bell cow all the back half of the year.
It kind of goes to what you said when you say that this team, makes all the mistakes. It's like, what are you telling this team when you start, leaving Xavier Robinson on the bench when he was the guy that saved you because Taylor Tatum kept fumbling, and you play Taylor Tatum more today when he's shown that he's not as reliable as Xavier Robinson?
I just don't get it. And maybe they thought that a bigger bodied guy like Xavier wouldn't be able to run the football against Navy. I don't know.
That's crazy. If that's, and I asked Brent after the game.
I know it's crazy, but I'm grasping at straws just like everybody else is.
I asked Brent after the game about why Xavier didn't play, and he basically said we thought Gavin had the hot hand after the first drive. He had 44 yards on the opening drive. He had 23 the rest of the game. That just, it doesn't, like, it's...
Because they're trying to run him up the middle all the time.
Like, why would you not run Xavier Robinson or throw him the ball? How about them running out there with Sam Franklin? This was early in the game.
Threw him 2 passes and he dropped them both.
Yeah, it's like, he hasn't played all year, and all of a sudden, he's getting on the field before Xavier Robinson or Taylor Tatum?
First quarter, third drive, and then they also had to burn a timeout during that.
They burned 2 of them.
2 timeouts during the first quarter.
And so they couldn't even run a 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Exactly right.
I don't always care about first half. You should. I don't. I've told you this before.
But if you can go kick a field goal there, and
as a head football coach, you should give a shit.
As it turns out, the 51-yarder that Schmidt misses in the fourth quarter, you end up losing by 1.
Yep.
So I mean, it's such little things. And again, I know that we've said this before. They just ended the 3rd year under Brent. I don't understand how, as much as they preach the little things and how they are so meaningful to a football game, it's just the same shit. And I can't sit here and say that that's going to change in year 4. I don't think it will change. Right now, it just feels like the inevitable is a year away, and that sucks.
Everything is going to change in the offseason. I mean, I don't think we can discount, and Brent's taken the hit for this. The Seth Luttrell hire doomed this program.
It was awful.
Ever since the bowl game last year, this has been a doomed program. And they've never they never recovered from it. So we'll see what happens with Ben Arbuckle. I mean, we've had him in studio. I think we're very impressed with him. He seems to say all the right things.
Yeah.
Is he, I got to think he's more detail-oriented than what they have, than anybody they have on staff right now, just in terms of he has a system, he knows how to run it. I just think that they have to, like I said, I go back to kind of wiping the slate clean. You have to do more than just bring in one guy.
You got to learn how to win.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. They got to learn how to win. I think Ben Arbuckle's probably a really smart offensive play caller. I think he's, probably going to be able to scheme some things open. I think John Mateer is going to be a really good player.
But let me say this. How did Brent Venables get this team to play defense, this program to play defense?
Because I think he's a really good defensive football coach.
And Zach Alley is too.
Sure.
But it didn't happen overnight. I mean, Danny Stutzman wasn't an All-American overnight.
But I still go back to, that's great.
And remember all the shit that, all the stuff about, Danny didn't really take things seriously the first year, and it just seemed like he talked to us in the meeting. He was like, yeah, Brent's always yelling at us, kind of like it was a joke. But then he started hosting all these, film studies and everything, and he started taking it more seriously, and they developed leadership on that. There's no leadership on this offense. There's no one that they look to and say, we all listen to this guy. It's just a bunch of individuals out there. They've got to build some, and I don't want to use the word culture because it's way overused and stupid, but they've got to build a foundation offensively because they don't have their foundation right now. Is what kind of offense is Joe John going to run this?
He has a great culture right now, and that's gotten them nothing.
I'm worried that it's too little, too late though, because they could go out there next year and have a better offense. I don't know if that's going to be good enough for them to go win a ton of games next year, because I do think that this defense can be really good. Are they going to be as good as they were this year? I don't know. I mean, they're losing their 2 best players at 2 key positions. And hell, they could still lose an R. Mason Thomas. They could still lose a Dominic Williams. They're losing DJ Terry, who had a really good game today. I don't know if they can be, they're going to have to be great again next year, and the offense is obviously going to have to improve. I understand where you're coming from, Carey, and that's the hope right now, right? That's the light at the end of the tunnel for this program, is that Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer are going to come in.
It's not the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the last grasp.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And that's great. I just don't know if that's going to be enough.
And I don't either, but I'm just saying, look, I'm here, and I've told everybody this, all my friends that are just like, why don't we get rid of Brent now? I'm committed to giving Brent one more year, but if all this shit's happened next year and they lose all the same ways and they're not even a speck on the playoff radar, then Brent's had his time. He's had 4 years and it didn't work, and I'll be ready to move on with everybody else.
It just feels like they're going to continue digging a deeper hole.
Yeah.
Than what it already is. The comparisons to Nebraska are dead on. This is a bad program.
But here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
No,
it's
here's
6
the
and
thing.
7 and 2 in the last 3.
Here's the thing.
It's
I'm
terrible.
going to say it, no matter how much you yell and scream.
We won't get kicked out.
One guy already came in here like, what the hell's going on in this room? We may not be able to get out. That's my concern, is everything's going to be locked.
We'll get out.
I don't even know what my point is. But no, I mean, look, I'm going to give it a year. We'll see if the offense looks like it's something that a top 20 offense looks. And let's face it, even when Jeff Lebby was here, nobody was like, oh, this looks just like Lebby's offense. Everybody had some issues here or there with what he was doing offensively.
Yeah, I would kill for those issues at 10 and 2.
Yeah. The thing is, Carey, I'm with you. You got to give them another year, just because if you blow,
you don't have to, but they're going to.
Let's
just put that.
Can everyone? It would make our life so much easier if you would just accept the fact that Brent Venables is getting another year.
If you were to fire him now,
I don't think people are ever going to do that.
If you were to fire him now, you're blowing it up, which is maybe what they should do. And maybe a year from now, we look back and say they should have done it last year. But
I remembered my here's the thing.
Either way, you're going to have to blow it up at some point.
And it will self-destruct, and you'll have to build it all back, and you'll have to pay a lot more money outside of just buyouts. I'm talking about you're going to have to do Nebraska. You're going to have to do Oregon. You're going to have to fight with these people to go get a bunch of mercenaries if you really do want to compete with that. So the people that are giving money now for NIL, even the guys that have the money to give, that they're not tapped out, but they just want other people to give money. They're going to have to probably double what they're giving in NIL.
Yeah, I mean,
you're going to have to go out there and have a $30 to $40 million roster. To claw back out of it.
That's the issue with, I think, where the current state of the program is. Go ahead, George.
Devon Mitchell just tweeted this out. I thought I should read this.
Okay. What is it?
I know a lot of people got a lot of questions about why I ain't been on the field and blaming Coach V and Joe John, but all honesty, I put myself in that position not to be on the field. I was very much inconsistent this year, but I trust the Oklahoma staff. Y'all should do the same.
I like that.
Wow.
I like it. That's maturity. I think.
Shout out Devon, but I still here's and I fully believe Devon. I don't want to say that I don't. I still think it is an indictment on the coaching staff that they could not find a way to get him onto the field. Do I think that I'm not saying for this season. I'm not saying for the season.
It's fair.
But for the bowl game to have, there will be no situation in which he can get on the field in the game that really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. They're playing my boy Owen Heineke, a walk-on at linebacker in the game. They're playing Eddie Pierre-Louis on the offensive line.
Bishop Kelly guy.
He's my boy. Heineke for Heisman.
If he sees you after a press conference, will you give you a hug? Like,
I don't know if he'd give me a
some
hug,
people
but
did
he'd
to
say
Eddie
what's
today.
up for sure. He played with my brother in high school.
Jake Roberts, my boy. I'm happy about him finding the end zone there.
But my point being is that the fact that they had 2-3 weeks to prepare for this game and couldn't find some sort of package or some sort of something to get him in the game is crazy.
I will say one positive. I thought Ivan Carey was great.
Yeah, he was good.
He was really good. He had a good day.
If they want to move him tight end, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, that would be good.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
Well, and look, the Devon Mitchell thing, let's not pretend like this team didn't have a whole bunch of fires they were trying to put out throughout the season. I think getting a
massive one at tight end,
a reclassified high schooler that should still be in high school, that's 17 years old, who clearly, by his own admission, wasn't able to be consistent enough to do things right to get on the field. Like, they already had. I mean, Bauer Sharp was the best they had, man. I mean,
I'm not saying for the season, Carey. Again, I understood why they didn't play him during the season. I'm saying in a meaningless bowl game in which you're trying to play a lot of young guys, there's no package or
what
play.
What would they have done? Well, I mean, but you're acting
run
like
a fade route in the end zone. I don't give a shit.
Like he would make some big difference. Caden Helms was out there the whole game and didn't do shit.
Run the tight end screen because Caden Helms probably isn't very good. Run a tight end screen to him. Do something. Let him at least get in the goddamn game.
I just think that there's so many bigger problems than
I do too.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying
I just don't know why people are hung up on it.
Because it's one small example of a major issue where the tight end room is so fucking bad, guys.
It's terrible.
It's horrific that they
Nobody's
can't find a way
that.
for some 5-star to at least get on the field in a meaningless game. That's my point. I understand,
but
there's larger issues.
That's not going to make the tight end room better.
Neither is this Carson Kent from Kennesaw State. At least trying to develop a kid and let him play a little bit.
Yeah. I
just lost the Carson Kent.
It feels like Carson Kent will not be getting a feature story, I'm imagining.
Nobody's getting feature stories.
I feel like the program I feel like the program, like the problems within the program are so like structurally bigger than bitching about a 17-year-old not getting on the field. Yeah. That and I think that's worrisome. Like, that is concerning that we're sitting here having these conversations at the end of the third year under Brent. And it sucks. It sucks to stand up and admit I just don't think he can get it done. It's time and time again. We've seen it for 37 games now, 38 games, whatever it is.
Ben Arbuckle is the only thing that's saving Brent right now.
John Mateer.
And John Mateer, yeah. You need, and I think look, I think what Michael Hawkins did today was, really nice.
He was fantastic.
He was great, but
I did.
It's still not enough to go get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just not enough.
No.
And I mean, now with Ben Arbuckle getting him under his wing and putting him in his offense, at least he has some structure there.
Sure.
But let's face it, Michael Hawkins and even Jackson Arnold this year, they were winging it most of the time. Like it was drawn up shit in the dirt. This was not an offense, a system, that was been built. It wasn't air raid. It wasn't, even triple option. Like there's no structure to this offense. It's just, what are we going to do this week against this defense?
And they're very predictable. Like today, sitting in the press box, you and I, every time they'd go out in 5 wide, we're like, we know what they're about to do. They're either going to throw it in the flat or they're going to run a QB draw every single time.
And all that design run shit did not work.
None of it.
It's tiresome.
I'm just glad it's over.
It's tiresome.
It could be worse.
I think everybody, it can't be worse.
It could be worse. We could all be homeless or something.
We might be homeless by the end of the Brent Venables era. We all might be homeless.
Yeah.
By the way, on the streets in front of the Campus Corner Studios.
I'm going to tell you, the homelessness problem in Norman is nothing compared to what's going on in Fort Worth.
What's going on in Fort Worth?
It's awful. Like
I didn't see a single homeless person.
Yeah,
Where?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, like I-30 going out on there, like from the Omni, like just what do they call it? Like Sanctuary City kind of deal. It was not good.
Greg Abbott, come up here, burn it down.
Come on, Greg.
Gavin Newsom took care of it.
I wonder if any of them can play tight end.
I'm open.
I'm open to options.
Check-in, by the way. I'm open to different options there.
How unfortunate that we had a check-in during our homeless discussion.
It just sucks.
By the way, you said tiresome. What about tires? George's dad is going to buy him tires, apparently, for Christmas.
He did. Very expensive.
For that thing that you drive, it's probably $1,400 for 4 tires on that thing.
A little less, but not far off.
Anyway, Eskridge Lexus, they've been with us for a very long time, our official travel partner. Go check them out, eskridgelexus.com. All the great sales that they've had going on through the holidays still going on. And if you're a Sooner Scoop subscriber or a listener of the podcast, just tell them that and they'll give you $1,000 off any new or pre-owned vehicle. The new GX, I think I'm set on that as being my next car. I've seen some of those driving down here in Fort Worth and Dallas, and even better in person. But I think you kind of got to get in a line for those. But maybe they're starting to filter out a little bit more. But go see Ed and all the guys at Eskridge Lexus. Go check them out online, eskridgelexus.com. And if you want one of the new cars coming in and you're having a hard time, even if you're in Dallas, Ed is the man, and he'll take care of you. He's done that for Eddie and I, especially when we just needed to get new cars and maybe, I had my car totaled for hail damage and COVID was going on. It was awful, but he found a way to take care of not just me, but a lot of other people. So go check him out, eskridgelexus.com, and give him a call if you want to. That's 405-75... Sorry. I'm at the service center now. I'll figure that out and I'll throw it out before the end of the show. All right, moving on. Thanks to Ed and thanks to Eskridge Lexus for always supporting the pod and being our official travel sponsor.
What do we think the tone of this podcast would be if they had converted that 2-point conversion?
What a great win. Maybe they can carry some momentum into the offseason. Gutty. Michael Hawkins, what an unbelievable drive that was. Yeah. And it was. I think we should give them credit. They executed when they absolutely had to have it. Hell of a throw over the middle of the field to catch Jake Roberts on the 4th down. At the same time, though, I think in the back of our minds, maybe this is one of those things that has come to light now that we can talk about. It's just I don't love the direction of this program. It seems like the trajectory-wise, it's certainly not where anybody would have thought it was, the night, I guess, Brent arrived in Norman at Max Westheimer.
Tell me though. I mean, and I'm not trying to, rip you apart or anything.
I'm just very, very
outside
down.
of the offense, what are your biggest issues with this team?
I think Brent is a very poor head coach. And what does that mean would obviously be the next question.
There was actually a point in the first half where I said, that was really good clock management. And George said, it was, but don't tweet that out.
Yeah.
Because you'll only anger people.
I just feel like everything, like every little button that I assume they're trying to push to get this team not to make stupid ass mistakes or not drop the football or get off the field on third down. It just feels like we're in a spin cycle. And how do you get out of that? I don't know. I think maybe too, at the same time, you look at like historically what the last 3 years have been. I mean, Brent Venables is on the same level right now. And I hate to say this, as John Blake, it is what it is. The facts are the facts. And I know that they're playing a much tougher schedule. But again, like, he didn't necessarily inherit a program that didn't know how to win. He didn't inherit a program.
John Blake went 3-8. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they're 6-7, Carey. They're under 500 for the second time in 3 years.
You're like, I think you're getting influenced by everybody on Twitter and the mentions and stuff.
They're
Nothing
right.
has changed.
They're right. All those people are right, though.
But what I'm
this
saying
is a shit program.
But what I'm saying, it hasn't gotten worse. It's just been bad the whole time. I think you expect like it was somehow gonna get fixed along the way. I never expected it to get fixed. I expected this to be a shit show from beginning to end.
What, the game?
The season.
You expected it to go 6-7 again.
I mean,
that was never brought up.
I didn't. I'm not saying from the beginning, but I'm saying after the Jackson Arnold debacle, after the Texas game, after Seth Luttrell got fired, in my mind, I was like, well, this season is lost. It's not getting any better. And I actually was surprised by Joe John Finley as a play caller for a little bit there. But
I think it was because it was so bad early.
Yeah.
That just like what we saw over the last couple of weeks was
but then when you see like the quarterback confidence just die and everybody, and Jackson Arnold just became just almost afraid to make mistakes.
Here's my concern with Brent, because I think, Eddie, you say he's a poor head coach. And I think what you're saying by that, I don't think it's results-based. It's results-based. My concern is not so much with, I mean, obviously, you got to find a way to win games. I'm a little, I don't know if worried. I'm interested. His roster management, they've missed on a lot of guys in the portal.
Yeah.
They've put their faith in guys that they were like, this is the next big thing, Jackson Arnold being one of them. And I don't blame Jackson for a lot of what happened. He's made some bad hires. Obviously, Seth Luttrell. Emmett Jones, I think, is still up for debate. I almost think that obviously Ted Roof, bad hire. Maybe he should have redid the whole offensive staff when he came in for Lincoln Riley. That's the part of managing a program, roster management, top to bottom. What he's doing in the portal right now, we've talked about it. I've told everybody, I said, what they're doing is they're investing in their young talent. They're investing in their young talent.
They're paying for the players that are performing very well.
Exactly. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. Because their young talent, Carey, their young talent just got beat by Navy. They just shit down their pants and got beat by Navy. So that's your future. Let me ask you
this question. What young talent in this program are you excited about coming back next year?
There's
sophomores or less.
I'll sign up for the wide receivers. Like, I think Zion Kearney can end up being a pretty good receiver. I think Ivan Carey can end up being a good receiver.
I think Xavier Robinson.
I
like the young defensive talent. So I do like some of them.
Zion Raggins. I mean, Jaden Jackson, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Michael Boganowski. I mean, they have played a ton of young guys.
But all these guys that we say that we love and we believe in, I said the same thing about Jackson Arnold a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I don't know.
That's the reality.
And so he's putting a lot of faith in these young guys. He's going down with the ship. That's what he's doing.
And
he's going down with the ship.
Brent knows this. I mean, he's not stupid.
One of the crazier parts about all of this too, and I understand that they're attacking the portal a little bit differently. Some because they have to do it like that because of a money situation, and some of it because of just a sheer evaluation situation. Obviously, they haven't evaluated good, through the portal over the last year. At the same time, though, I mean, we're talking about how big this offseason is and how big 2025 is going to be for the tenure of Brent Venables. I want to say, and I would have to fact check this, but they are dead last right now in the portal and SEC recruiting, and they're like 67th nationally per on three.
Yeah, let me
supposed to be the biggest offseason, and they're doing that shit.
Well, yeah, and you see LSU, who said they didn't have any money, now is signing tons of people. They just announced that.
Not to mention that they got two guys that everybody and the fan base thought were complete bullshit in Nick Anderson and Bauer Sharp.
Right. Which, evaluation, I mean, they're going to be questioned on that in a year or two. But here's the thing. I think it's not as much Brent is the problem with the evaluation, the portal, and who they're signing and not signing. That's also part of the collective and the outreach and the donors. Like, people get so mad about... Do we need to get out of here?
Oh, yeah.
So people get so mad about, like, OU being cheap. OU has nothing to do with paying players in NIL. It's the collective. It's the donors. I mean, that's who is running the ship here. And I think if you're going to do a deep dive into the assistant coaches and the problems there and how that's affecting the program, you have to do a deep dive into NIL, OU's NIL collective and their donors and who they're reaching and who they're not reaching and where they need to get money from. Do they have enough money? Because clearly, we've seen it. They're not going to compete for, what was it, the Sterling guy, the Georgia Tech receiver? Like, there's Singleton. Like Zachariah Branch. Like, they're not going to be engaged in people like it. It's just an automatic no when they hear there's a high-priced free agent out there. And it shouldn't be that way at Oklahoma because it's not that way in Nebraska. It's not that way at Oregon. It's not that way at Texas. It's not that way at Auburn right now. And OU has all of a sudden become this program that's like, well, if they're expensive, we're not going to be in the market for that. They have to fix that.
Yeah, they have to fix that. And again, I've almost talked myself into thinking that...
And not OU has to fix it, but the donors, the collectives, everybody involved, the fan base, they have to fix that. And I don't know what outlet they go through to fix that. I know people are trying to do that. And so maybe that develops, but they were saying, people were coming to me saying, look, let's fix this now. And I was like, no, this is not an instant fix. This is something you've got to get a lot of people on board with and wait until the portal opens again before you can really make an impact. Because you're not going to do it. They've not set themselves up to be able to do what's happening in they're not agile enough to react to what's going on in the market right now, and not even to mention Texas Tech.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that they need a fan base that is dedicated, but at the same time, like, I can understand why a fan base is so pissed off right now because it's been dog shit for 3 years and they keep coming back and asking for money. It seems like the university only reaches out to alumni when they do need money. It's just
I'm not gonna shit on the fans. I think the fans
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying the fans. I mean, like, we're not talking about. I hate this term, but it seems to encapsulate a lot of things. But like joke concrete. We're not trying to shit on you people that are giving $15 a month to the collective. That's not what we're talking about.
Run a restaurant and you learn pretty quick. The sound of a crisp fry starts way before the first bite. As delivery and to-go keeps business booming, order for pickup. McCain's SureCrisp fries keep orders crispy.
Hey, delivery.
After the trip, the crispiness comes through. McCain's SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
We're talking about the people that can just drop $100,000 at a moment's notice and not affect
But even
them.
those people, I think OU needs to do a better job of making it a streamlined thing. Like
absolutely
they need to be like, give us this amount of money so they can go to this player to get this guy.
Right.
Like that's where I think it's getting mixed up, where they're just saying, hey, give us some money, and they don't say where it's gonna go. And they need to be like, hey, give us this money and we're gonna keep Deion Burks. He's gonna be back next season if you give us this amount of money. And they can see it go directly to that guy.
But they can't do that to the fans. It's like, I don't know if that's...
What do you mean they can't do that?
They can't come out and say, the NCAA won't let the collective come out and...
There are no rules. There are no rules.
But what I'm saying
is, OU's in this spot because for so many years the compliance office just shit on themselves.
Like Texas Tech, like, they don't have to worry about it because they have their money men and their money people, and they go to them and behind the curtain and they say, we need what's the offensive lineman that was going to Alabama?
Ty Haywood. I mean, we'll see where he ends up in the spring, but
but they're like, we need this much money for Ty Haywood, and we're talking to his agent, and he wants $2 million or $3 million or $4 million, and so those people, that secret society, if you will, the Touchdown Club. I said I want to bring back the Touchdown Club as an underground NIL society. But that's what Tech has, because they just have they have 4 like billionaires or 2 billionaires and 4 guys with a lot of money that just go and do that. So OU has to, not OU, but the collective, whoever,
and
the
OU.
fans.
OU has got to do a better job of doing what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, they have got to be at the forefront of being like, let's break the rules and do some shit so we can win some football games. Because I think the fans...
Let's focus more on that than making stupid videos that nobody's going to watch.
The fan base, I believe this, is more invested in this football program than they have ever been invested. Look at the people that showed up for this horrific football team. To watch this horrific, awful, shitty football team.
It was a home game for OU in Fort Worth. I mean, it was crazy.
50,000 people were here today to watch this awful football team. Like, these people care. Look at our mentions. Look at our YouTube comments. These people give a shit.
100%.
Like, I fully believe they give a shit.
Fort Worth, city of Fort Worth, will you give a shit about this bowl game? Like, get out there and direct traffic so people are not waiting.
Or don't direct any traffic.
For an hour to get to the stadium once they pull off the highway.
I think they were directing too much traffic. They kept pointing me in the wrong direction.
No, but look, yeah, OU's got to get their shit together because other people have it together. I mean, how does Nebraska doing all this stuff? I mean, where's that money come from? I didn't know there was that much money in Nebraska.
It's one of the strongest fan bases in the country, though.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
The next 12 months are some of the most pivotal months in OU football, the athletic department, the university. It's recent history. Like, it is pivotal that they figure out a way to start winning football games. Yeah. Otherwise, they are going to be, we keep saying Nebraska. They're not Nebraska yet because Nebraska's been bad for 20 years. But if they continue on this trend, they'll be Nebraska.
This is where it's at. Like,
right.
the starting point should be going off.
It is the starting point of becoming 100%. Nebraska, or what Texas was for a decade.
And I don't necessarily think that, like, people in the administration are asleep at the wheel by any means, but show me a sense of urgency. Stop going, and this is like to Brent, it's like, stop going in front of the media and saying, we got to protect the standard and all this other bullshit, when the reality is the standard under you, being Brent, is dog shit. It's a bad football program that's now under 500 for the second time in 3 years, and it doesn't feel like there's any hope at the end of the tunnel. You can be glass half full right now, but a lot of that's just based on hope. And hoping that John Mateer is going to be the guy. Hoping that Ben Arbuckle is going to be able to turn this offense around. Like, I can't sit here and say that I think any of this is going to change knowing what we've seen over the first 3 years. And that sucks. Because I think we all want Brent to be the guy.
George, I think I said that we don't have any angst left before this podcast started. We certainly have angst left.
Oh, we're going to have angst for the next 8 months. Having to talk about, like, trying to... not spin things. I don't think any of us are spinning anything.
I think the most amazing part about this year, just overall, is the ability for us to sit here after every game and go, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. And it proceeded to get worse.
And the fact that
every game.
And I felt so stupid today at the end of the first quarter thinking, wow, well, like, look at that. Look, this team's playing pretty well. Like,
they had a chance. Like, when you're up 14-0, even if you can get it to 17, you take that opportunity. Or if you can get to 21, who knows how the game's going to go. Navy, I have a hard time thinking it's going to come back from 21-0.
Yeah.
It's just like those little killer instinct moments, which I think, George, you would define that as just not knowing how to win, just in general.
Yeah.
They don't have that. And I don't know how you develop that. I really don't.
You got to do it. You just got to do it.
Until you got some guys that can go do it.
Believe it.
With confidence, belief.
You really need John Mateer to be like this just amazing leader that can will them to win.
I'm really worried over the next 5 months, 6 months during the off season. This idea of what John Mateer is, I think, is going to take on a life of its own. And then when he doesn't have immediate success, everybody's going to jump off and go, People need to, and
I could be wrong, and I'll be the first to admit it, and I hope I am. There's a lot of people out there that think he's just going to be Baker Mayfield.
It's a disrespect to Baker.
Yeah, he's not going to be Baker. He's not.
Yeah.
He's going to be closer to Dylan Gabriel than Baker Mayfield.
Great? Can he be awesome? Can he, maybe
if he's
get
Dylan
to
Gabriel, that'd be great.
Maybe get to a New York City or something. And obviously, we're talking real high expectations. But if you can do that, you can inject life back into a program.
Right.
Baker did it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the offense was never more broken than it was in 2014.
Sure.
I mean,
outside of this year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but from just a recent historical perspective, that offense couldn't get a first down by the end of the season.
Like everything was coming to an end in 2014.
I mean, they basically need 2015 to happen again in 2025 for Brent to save his job.
Sure.
And I'm not saying go 11-1, but you need to have a season where you're like, holy shit, they've turned things around. They go, even 9-3, 10-2 in your
Isn't
playoff.
That amazing that
it's like
Lincoln Riley happened 10 years ago, coming up next year.
It is kind of crazy to think about it that way.
Years.
It's also
That's
crazy
insane.
on the flip side of that to go, Baker's going to be like an 8-year pro next year.
Yeah.
I saw a guy in a Baker Mayfield jersey today, and I wondered to myself, like, if this shit continues, OU's next alternative uniform is just going to be a Baker Mayfield jersey.
Is it not crazy, too, that it's 10 years in the parallels between what's happening in the program in the sense that it's like Lincoln, West Texas guy, young hotshot offensive coordinator. Ben Arbuckle, West Texas guy, young hotshot offensive coordinator. John Mateer, slept on guy, transferred from a lower program. Baker Mayfield wasn't recruited, came from walk on from Texas Tech. Like it's literally like
I completely get it. I feel like the problems right now within the program are so much bigger than anything that 2014. Yeah. But again, at the same time, I think that you
also had Bob Stoops.
That's what I was going to say.
Coach,
you always fell back on Bob's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if you're, it's so just unbelievable that this offense is not thrown for three. How long has it been since they've thrown for 300 yards? I mean, it's back into next season.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I guess in the bowl game, Jackson didn't he go for 300?
I think that's right. But I mean, that's how bad this thing is right now. Like the first time John Mateer throws for 300 yards next year, it's going to be like, oh shit, I forgot what that was like.
I mean, goddamn, I hope it's in the first game against Illinois State. Yeah. I mean, you would hope. I think that like
better
a lot
be Ben's
of
first.
We're going to know what this team is next year pretty quickly too, because Michigan comes to town in week 2.
Yeah,
and I know Michigan wasn't great this year, but if OU's like they were this year, they'll lose that game.
Yeah, 100%.
I was saying today if Brent should open up some practices in the spring to the public. If he feels like the offense looks pretty good.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's probably right.
It just...
I mean, what the hell would happen back in the day when you opened spring practices? My God.
What they should do is put John Mateer on the podium tomorrow just to get some good vibes.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du noch?
If you've had that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Yeah, I think even right now, John Mateer saying all the right things probably doesn't help anybody because, and this is the way that the offseason is going to go. It's going to suck, but nothing's going to happen until September when you go, okay, maybe this is for real. Maybe they have figured it out because nobody, I think like the passion is there from the fan base, but the belief in Brent and the staff and being able to change this, there's only one way that they can do it, and that's win football games next season. There's nothing that can be said. Yeah. There's not a recruit that can be brought in. There's nothing that can happen, in my opinion, that people are going to say, okay, well, they're headed in the right direction.
They've lost all. I mean, here's the worst part about it, and you see it in recruiting, you see it in the portal. They've lost all, cachet that they had for an offense.
100%.
Like Oklahoma's no longer seen as a place to go if you're a receiver or a running back. Like, and that's probably why they had that's probably why they have to be overpaying in the portal, which they're not doing. And they're going to have to build it back up. And I think it could be built up quickly. I mean, you saw. I remember the Mike Leach days. I mean, it became a sensation overnight, and people started flocking here.
Can that be done though under today's college football structure of like
if you're paying people enough, yeah,
right? But they did it like, and I was 6th, 7th grade was trying to think of somebody. Any of those wide receivers from like the national championship team, they weren't necessarily guys that would have come in and been like over $1 million, 5-star, future NFL projected type draft picks.
Damian Mackey, it was Andre Woolfolk,
and they ended up
Joshua
being
Norman.
fantastic. They ended up being great. I don't know. It just feels like there is no end in sight outside of sitting here in some godforsaken, bull site, which, thank you to Armed Forces Bowl. I thought it was very well
It's
run.
really cool. Just the whole the whole military theme and everything.
Watching Navy sing after the game, awesome. It was fantastic.
I will say, it's after just leaving the press conference, seeing all the families out there, you're just like, wow, what a day for. I mean, you couldn't help but stop, but what a day for all these
for sure.
families.
I mean, it was a fantastic moment for Brian Newberry, who beat his childhood team. It's whatever. It just it feels like the inevitable, and it's going to be 365 from today or from wherever when we're talking about where Oklahoma goes from here. I hope that I hope I'm wrong. I hope OU wins every game next year. It just doesn't I don't think they will. We sound crazy to I agree, but you know what I mean. I think today was kind of like that final gut punch.
Well, it'll be nice when you get criticized again for game predictions when you don't pick OU to lose.
That's the territory that I want to be in.
I mean, and that's the thing. We don't need to look at the stats. We don't even need to talk about the stats. I mean, this is a wrap on the season. I was a little bit perturbed by people that were even asking, single play questions in the post game.
And I will say, and I don't even remember if we've talked about it, I don't care if they went for 2. Just go for it. There's 6 seconds left. I know. Could you win the game in overtime? I don't know how I tried to explain this earlier, George, but would it have been a better in-game decision to go for 2 to extend the game and take your chances with Navy?
Try it overtime.
In overtime, yes. I think that it was.
I think they would have won in overtime.
I disagree.
In this particular circumstance, going for 2, I have no problem.
I think they would have won in overtime. The Navy didn't have a kicker, and OU's defense, while they did give up
you got stuffed on 4th down twice. How are they going to win overtime?
Because I think Hawkins would have been able to scramble around, make some plays, and they just, again, if OU gets a stop.
I don't think they had any chance of winning that in overtime.
Any chance?
They definitely had a chance.
In fact, I think that they have a better chance of winning the game. I do think
now, if it went to a 2-point conversion off, OU would lose.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
but they don't go to that till the 3rd overtime. I think they would have won in 1 or 2 overtimes because Navy didn't have a kicker.
Yeah, but he kicked all the extra points today.
Who cares? I'm saying if they would have stopped them at the 20 and they had to kick a 30-some yard field goal.
But then you're taking their kicker out of play.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Look, you had a chance to win. You had a freshman quarterback. You had no receivers. Your offense just fell off of a cliff after the first quarter. I was fine with trying to win.
I was all for going for 2. I was all for it. I just think that you probably would have had maybe a bet. If this was for the national championship, I would have gone to overtime.
Yeah, and I think that they would have too.
Yeah.
I mean, Horvath was just playing his ass off. I mean,
he's a good player, man. The 95-yarder.
Oh, you should recruit him to play running back.
The 95-yarder is just another one of those examples.
Did you walk past him after the game?
I didn't.
Yeah, we walked right past him when we were leaving the press conference.
He's bigger than you think.
Yeah. I actually kind of thought he was a little bit smaller.
Really?
But he's a big dude. Yeah.
Well, I saw him without his pads on, and I thought, wow, that kid's. Navy has a lot of just thick dudes, man.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they're defending our country.
God bless them.
They spend a lot of room in the weight room if they're, I don't know if they're worried too much about the country. It's a lot of time in the weight room to get that big.
Trying to get double-digit wins, 10 wins. Great season for Navy. Beat Army. I mean, it doesn't get him much better than that.
9-3?
10-3.
10-3. It's only their sixth time in program history to win 10 games.
Brian Newberry's a good football coach. I'll put him on the hot list next year. Get ready, folks. 6 months of this.
That'd be pretty awesome.
You mean the hot board?
What did I say?
List. Hot list.
I thought you said hot seat. Never mind.
Well, everybody's on the hot seat.
All right. Well, it's going to be a very highly anticipated spring. People are never going to want more reports on how many touchdowns John Mateer threw in practice than they will coming up this year.
They should boo the team at the spring game.
No, don't do that.
What?
Why would they boo them?
50,000 30,000 OU fans just showed up here today to watch this. They're not going to boo them at the game.
They should have booed. Like if you did.
I think Ben Arbuckle just needs to get in front of the camera more.
It's not going to make me feel better about anything.
Well, I don't care about you.
It's not going to make the fan base feel better.
You're hopeless anyway.
I'm full of hope. I want to be full of hope. I want to be injected with hope. There is nothing that I can point to that says hope is anywhere close to being touched right now.
All right.
That's a good way to end it.
I think that is a good way to end it.
The shotgun sound would have been the way to end it.
But we're going to get out of here and let these people here at
these people outside are probably like, what is wrong with these people? I can see why OU is
we get a standing ovation like when we leave.
That'd be awesome. Everybody standing down on the bottom of the hallway here.
Like just it's like walking down the staircase. Everybody just standing around clapping.
That'd be beautiful.
All right, that's going to do it for the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast 2024.
I guess the good news is I don't think a lot of them understand the languages that we're speaking. And God bless them.
All right. I've heard.
I said God bless them.
Alicia, he doesn't really mean that. It's our cleaning lady. All right, that's going to do it. We'll be not back again until 2025.
It's crazy. Can't believe it's over.
Thanks to Ed Eskridge and everybody at Eskridge Lexus. Thanks to all you for listening. The Unofficial 40 still be going on weekly. Working on the new studios now, waiting on the new big desk to be delivered. So
game day rewind on Monday with Josh.
Okay, yeah. People will be very excited to see that.
I'll be really excited to talk about it. Actually, I won't. I think the next 48 hours is going to be pretty costly on the body. Headed over to Dallas to a wedding.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Will, and what's his bride's name?
Ellie.
Okay, congratulations to those two. Been hearing a lot from Will lately. So
good people.
Is he going on a honeymoon? Am I going to get him out of my life for like a week?
I don't know where they're going.
The damn pod.
I think he said he wasn't going on a honeymoon.
What are we doing, guys?
I'll find out and report back.
Thank you, Will. Shout out Will.
Why is it like there's no better way to end a pod than for George to say, "Can we end this?" and for Eddie to say, "Let's go another hour."
I don't understand. This is like OU's football season. Just end it. Get it over with. Close us out, Murdoch.
The cord from Aaron calls and says, "Get back here, fiance." All right, don't you have a wedding tomorrow?
I do.
Where is it?
Shout out Kate and Drew. It's in Tulsa.
Okay.
Now end it.
You said that they were going to probably get divorced. You said probably, and you put like the quotation marks. I'm just kidding. Congratulations, everybody. It's wedding season now, I guess.
All right.
It truly is basketball season.
By the way, George, I'm still offended that you dumped out my present to Aaron just so you could use the packaging for your own Christmas present.
She appreciated it. Thank you for the fire blanket.
Did she say, like, what? Who is this weirdo that just gave me
yes, that's exactly what she
unwrapped?
said. Yes, that is exactly what she said.
Did you tell her that it was wrapped?
Yes, Carey. I told her that it was wrapped.
All right. That's going to do. Selfish George, Eddie Radosevich, Carey Murdoch, we will thank you for listening. And we'll see you guys again in 2025. That's going to do it here from Fort Worth and Amon G. Carter Stadium. Until next time, we'll see you then.